I've stood on too many docks at 3 a.m. watching a lone mast light blink out and never come back. Tonight, you're going to learn why that light disappears, why the radio goes silent, why the logbook ends mid-sentence, and why the Coast Guard quietly closes the file with the same 2 words every time: open ocean. You will not sleep the same after this. You will check the latches on your hatches twice. You will whisper the names of the missing when the wind shifts. And if you ever plan to point a bow toward Hawaii, Fiji, or anywhere the horizon eats the sun, you will carry tonight inside your sea bag like a second anchor. Because the real reason sailors vanish after Pacific crossings is not a storm, not a rogue wave, not even the Bermuda Triangle's drunk cousin. It is a chain of 5 invisible knives that slide between the ribs of every dream that ever left port. I'm going to hand you each knife, one by one, still warm. But only if you stay in this chair until the screen fades to black. Skip ahead and the knives stay buried. Watch to the end and you'll see the blood on the blades, the fingerprints, the exact moment the ocean decides who comes home. Ready? Close the door. Kill the lights. We're shoving off. The first knife is forged in the boatyards of Alameda, San Diego, and every Craigslist dock where a 30-something with a podcast and a crypto wallet decides he was born for the sea. Call him Dreamer Zero. He watched one too many YouTube sunsets, drank the salt air Kool-Aid, and paid 40% over, asking for a 1988 Catalina that just needs love. He renamed her Plan B because that's what boats are. Escape pods for men who forgot how to escape anything else. He left Pier 39 with a $2,400 satellite phone, a $79 epoxy repair kit, and a GoPro pointed at his grin. Day 3, he posted, "Dolphins off the starboard bow, living the dream." Day 9, the post stopped. The knife entered here. The Dreamer Zero never learned the difference between a boat and a fantasy. He thought ownership was a receipt. The ocean handed him a subscription. Every sunrise the bill came due. $400 for a new bilge pump that puked on day 4, $1,100 for a rigger to climb the mast in 25 knots, because the halyard chafed through, $800 to FedEx, a replacement impeller to Hilo because the Yanmar started coughing blood. By the time he hit the doldrums, he was wiring cash from an emergency credit card to a stranger in Honolulu who promised parts tomorrow. Tomorrow never arrived. The GoPro died. The grin died. The boat kept sailing, but the man inside her was already bleeding out, slowly, quietly, one hidden cost at a time. And when the sat phone finally blinked low balance, he had exactly 2 choices: turn around and admit the dream was a $220,000 lie, or keep going and let the Pacific finish the bankruptcy. Most keep going. That's knife 1. Write it on your forearm in Sharpie. The boat you buy is only 30% of the money you'll ever spend. The other 70% is waiting in the dark with a smile and a torque wrench. Knife 2 is sharper because it's legal. It's stamped with the Federal Reserve logo and delivered by a banker in loafers who never smelled diesel. Picture the scene. Dreamer Zero, now 200 miles west of Cabo, opens an email that begins, "Congratulations on your new loan," back when rates were 1%. His monthly payment was $788. Today, the same boat, same credit score, same smile, costs $1,344 pools. That's an extra $556 a month for the privilege of borrowing money that used to be cheap. $556 is 2 weeks of groceries, 1 airline ticket home, or the exact price of the new starter battery that just corroded into green dust. Multiply that across 2,500 nautical miles and you see the wound. Every dreamer who left in 2022 refinanced or rolled the dice on a variable rate that just detonated. The ones who can't make the new payment do the math at 0200 watch. Sell the boat in Marquesas for half what they owe and fly home broke, or ghost the lender, change the MMSI, and pray no one runs the HIN. The ocean is big, but satellite trackers are patient. Repo crews in French Polynesia wear Hawaiian shirts and carry leans instead of guns. I've watched them board at dawn, while the skipper sleeps off a $12 warm Hinano. By the time he wakes, the boat has a new name taped over the old one, and a one-way ticket to a Sanganeb auction. The skipper, He's on the ferry to Papeete with a duffel bag and a story no one believes. Knife 2. Interest rates don't just raise payments. They raise the stakes until the only option left is disappearance. If your loan adjusts again next quarter, start swimming lessons. Knife 3 is the coldest because it's made of paper. It's the pink haul-out notice taped to the companionway the morning after you limp into Christmas Island with a cracked rudder stock. Storage is $14 a foot a month. Your boat is 42 feet. Do the math while the trade wind whistles through the rigging like a debt collector. Back home, winter is coming. Your slip rent is due November 1st, whether the boat is there or not. If you leave her in the tropics, hurricanes spin dice with your insurance deductible. If you ship her home, the trucking quote is $28,000 and the driver wants cash before he touches the travel lift. So you do what every ghost before you did. You list the boat on Yacht World at 60 cents on the dollar with the magic words, motivated seller, health forces sale. Within 48 hours, the vultures circle. A kid from Oregon offers half your cost in crypto. A German dentist wants a Zoom survey at 6 a.m. His time, a broker in Florida promises exposure if you'll just drop another 10 grand. You say yes to all of it because the meter is running and the ocean doesn't take Venmo. 3 weeks later, the boat sells to a couple from Seattle who pay cash, change the name to Plan C, and sail at sunset while you watch from the fuel dock with a $9 beer and a one-way ticket to anywhere else. Knife 3. The pink slip is mightier than the sword. It cuts the cord between captain and vessel faster than any storm. And once the cord is cut, the captain becomes cargo, adrift, broke, and allergic to mirrors. Knife 4 is the one nobody photographs because it happens in the dark. It's the moment the captain opens the seacock and whispers, "I'm sorry," to the hull that never did anything wrong. Scuttling is not dramatic. There's no explosion, no SOS, no final Instagram post. Just a quiet twist of bronze, the gurgle of 10,000 gallons finding their level, and the soft click of a life well ended. Insurance fraud, sometimes. Mercy killing, always. I've read the claims. Vessel lost due to unknown ingress of water. The adjuster signs, the check clears, the file closes. The ocean swallows fiberglass like confession. Knife 4 is the exit wound. It's where the dream bleeds out so completely that even the gulls forget the name on the transom. And the sailor. He rows the dinghy to the nearest atoll, burns the ship's papers, and becomes a bartender who used to work on boats. No one asks twice. Knife 5 is the sharpest because it's still in your hand. It's the one you'll use if you ignore the first 4. Because the Pacific is not a graveyard, it's a filter. It lets through the prepared, the humble, the lucky, and the rich. Everyone else gets refined into stories, and the filter is tightening. Satellite delinquency reports now ping marshals in real time. Starlink bills hit $150 a month and bounce just like dock fees. Diesel in the Tuamotus is $9 a gallon cash only, and the pump attendant counts the bills twice. The knives are evolving, but so can you. Stay to the end and I'll show you how to slip every blade, how to cross 3,000 miles of blue water with nothing but a paper chart and a promise you can keep. I'll give you the checklist no YouTuber sells, the clause no broker reads aloud, the phone number in Honolulu that answers at 3 a.m. when the impeller lets go. I'll hand you the 5th knife, handle first, so you can carve your name on the ocean instead of letting it carve yours. But first you have to survive the next 4,212 words. Every paragraph is a degree of longitude, every sentence a knot of wind. If you bail now, the knives stay hungry. If you stay, you'll learn why the missing never really vanish. They just change their names and keep sailing under a different flag. And one of them might be reading this right now, sipping rum in a cockpit you'll never find, smiling at the rookie who almost made it. Don't be the rookie, keep reading. The trades are filling. Let's back up to the moment the hook first sets. You're scrolling at 2 a.m. Your thumb bleeding from swiping when the photo stops you cold. A 1995 Beneteau 40, anchored in Hanalei Bay, rainbow arched overhead, price slashed to $79,000. The ad says, turnkey, Pacific Vet, new rigging. Your pulse spikes like you just matched on Tinder with destiny. You message the seller at 2:17. By 2:43, you've wired $2,000 for a holding deposit to an LLC in Delaware. Congratulations, you just bought knife one. Here's what the ad didn't show. The 47 hidden blisters under the gel coat, the $11,000 teak deck that leaks into the V-berth, the Yanmar heat exchanger that hasn't seen a zinc since Obama. The survey you skipped because the owner seems honest would have cost $1,200 and saved you $47,000. But honesty is expensive and hope is tax-free. 3 weeks later, you're on a plane clutching a folder labeled Dream File. Odell, the broker, meets you at the marina wearing boat shoes and the grin of a man who's already spent your commission. He calls the boat salty but solid. You hear authentic. He says needs cosmetics. You hear potential. You sign at the dock box because the notary is late and the sun is perfect. The ink isn't dry before the first surprise surfaces. The boat has a $112,000 lien you never saw because the title search was in process. Welcome to the Pacific. Population. You and the ghosts who thought in process was a personality trait. Fast forward 6 weeks. You've cleared Punta de Mita with 42 jerry cans lashed to the rail like orange lifeboats. You've got 18 cases of Costco canned chicken, a ukulele you can't play, and a crew of 3 strangers who answered your fun-loving crew wanted post on Facebook. Day 4, they discover the head doesn't pump. Day 5, they discover you don't know how to fix it. Day 6, they discover the afternoon net on 8.816 MHz, where real sailors laugh at rookies who bring ukuleles instead of spare impellers. By day 10, the crew has mutinied to the forward cabin with the only working fan and the last 6 beers. You're alone on deck at 3 a.m., wondering if skipper is just another word for scapegoat. The stars are so bright they feel like accusations. That's when Knife 2 slides in again. The sat phone bill for $1,900 hits your inbox because someone live-streamed a dolphin video in 4K. You can't pay it. You can't turn it off. You can only watch the minutes bleed out like diesel from a pinhole leak. You start rationing texts to 1 per day. All good, love you. You don't mention the water maker that reverse osmosis air or the 400 a day fuel burn because the autopilot draws 7 amps and you're scared to hand steer in 30 knots. You don't mention that all good now means still breathing. Landfall in Nuka Hiva is supposed to be champagne and baguettes. Instead, it's a $600 quarantine fee, a $220 mooring ball, and a gendarme who wants to see your outbound clearance from Mexico. On paper, in triplicate, with raised seal. You have a PDF, he has a mustache, and the patience of a man who's confiscated 100 dreams. While you sprint to the internet cafe to print, bribe, and pray, your crew buys one-way tickets to Bali on your credit card because the vibe isn't right. You return to an empty boat and a note. Thanks for the ride, bro. Keep the ukulele. You sit on the teak you can't afford to refinish and calculate how many croissants you'd need to sell to fly home. The answer is 47,000. You eat one and cry into the butter. Knife 3 just carved another notch. But the real masterpiece is Knife 4, the one that waits until you've spent every dime, every favor, every lie you told your mother about investing in experiences. You're 400 miles south of Hawaii, sails furled, engine dead, drifting in the garbage patch like a plastic Jesus. The batteries are at 11.2 volts. The water tanks taste like algae and regret. The last can of chicken is bulging. You open the Seacock not because you want to die, but because you want the phone to stop ringing. You want the bank to stop emailing. You want the ocean to stop asking questions you can't answer. You twist the handle. The gurgle is softer than you expected. You climb into the dinghy with the ship's cat and the last bottle of rum. You row until the mast light sinks. You name the cat Insurance. You toast the moon and whisper the new name you'll use on the next island. Just passing through. The Pacific adds another ghost to the ledger. Case closed. Now breathe. Because Knife 5 is different. It's the one I hand you point down, so you can plant it in the chart table and build a life around it. Here's how you survive the Pacific without becoming a headline. First, buy the boat the way drug dealers buy cars. Never finance more than you can lose in cash. If you can't write the check, you can't afford the checkout. Second, spend the first year coastal. Break something every weekend until nothing left to break surprises you. Third, crew for strangers before you invite friends. You'll learn who screams at 3 a.m. when the bilge alarm sings. Fourth, carry 3 times the water the brochure says. Dehydration is patient. It waits until you're too proud to ask for a tow. Fifth, file a float plan with someone who will actually call the cavalry. Your mom's book club doesn't count. Sixth, learn to say "I don't know" in 4 languages and help in 6. Seventh, keep a slush fund in a Ziploc labeled "Ego Repair." Eighth, every sunrise ask the boat one question. What do you need today that I haven't given you? She will always answer. Ninth, never name her after a woman who can leave you. 10th, when you finally shove off for real, leave the GoPro in the locker. The ocean doesn't need your proof, it only needs your respect. I've crossed 6 times without losing a boat or a soul. I've also sat in the dark and watched good sailors choose the dinghy over the dock. The difference is never luck. It's preparation sharp enough to shave with. So here's your new float plan. Read this script out loud to your crew the night before departure. If anyone laughs at the part about bulging chicken cans, replace them at the fuel dock. If anyone asks, "What's a seacock?" replace them at the fuel dock. If anyone says, "I brought a ukulele," throw the ukulele overboard and keep the human, barely. Then point the bow west, ease the sheets, and sail like the ocean is listening, because she is. And she keeps receipts. One last story before the credits. 2 years ago, a kid named Mateo left Panama in a Warham cat he built in his aunt's backyard. He had $400, a toolbox from Harbor Freight, and a grandmother's rosary taped to the mast. He broke every rule I just gave you. Financed 90%, no coastal shakedown. Crewed with Tinder dates. Named the boat Me X. He also carried a printed copy of this script, early draft, coffee-stained, rolled in a Pringles can. Every night, he read one paragraph aloud to the stars. When the autopilot quit, he steered by hand for 42 days. When the watermaker died, he collected rain in the mainsail. When the bank foreclosed, he changed the MMSI to 33456789 and kept sailing. Last I heard, he was teaching kiteboarding in Tonga, catamaran fat and happy, grandmother's rosary still clicking in the breeze. He sent me a photo, him grinning, boat nameless now, hulls painted matte black so satellites can't see. Caption, "Knife 5 works. I saved it as my lock screen. You should too." So here we are, 4,562 words later, floating in the dark, with the taste of salt on your lips and the echo of 5 knives in your ears. You've seen the blood. You've held the handles. Now choose. Will you be the next ghost story whispered in yacht clubs from San Francisco to Suva, or the grizzled voice recording the next warning for the rookies? The Pacific doesn't care, but I do. Drop a comment below with the one item you'll never sail without after tonight. I read every single one. Then smash subscribe, ring the bell, and share this with the dreamer who still thinks a boat is a purchase instead of a subscription. You might just save a life, or at least a GoPro. Fair winds, sharp knives, and may your bilge stay drier than your ex's heart. I'll see you on the other side of the horizon. Or I won't. That's the deal we all sign. Now go close the hatch. The wind just shifted. And somewhere out there a mast light just blinked out. Don't let it be yours.